right, let me turn down the volume of the music first. And all right. Hello, everyone. I hope you are well. Welcome back to my video with me, Barandi. And in today's video, we'll be talking about how to anticipate the topics and questions, and more specifically, how to determine the questions in the part B of the TOEFL test, in the listening comprehension section. All right, let's begin. Right. So um, in part B, so part B is not actually very different from part A, only that the conversations are longer, and each conversation is followed by 4 to 5 questions, usually. And of course, you can only listen to each recording one time only. So it is important for you to be able to get a clear idea of what the topic of of each conversation is about. And prior to listening, you can actually guess what the questions will be about, right? So, um, based on my experience, many test takers, they well, some of the test takers, they uh, close their eyes when listening, because they think if they shut their eyes, they uh, will be able to listen to the conversations better, and therefore they should be able to understand better. However, I would not recommend this, because you can actually um, make use of the brief time between the recordings. You can actually read the questions and guess what the questions will be about. Okay, so for example, the conversations could be about some aspects of school life, right? Or maybe some type of social issue, or maybe a trip someone is planning, right? So it's better to read the questions first before uh, listening. And let's take a look at one example of part B questions. So, well, before that, the helpful strategy is to look briefly again, to look briefly the answer, at the answers, and try to determine the topics of the conversation, right? So here's the example. Usually, before the real conversation begins, you will hear a introductory. Well, the narrator will actually tell you what the conversation will be about. Something like this.
Listen to the following conversation about a part time job.
So you know that the conversation will be about a part-time job, right? And oops, see, there are 5 questions here, and let's take a look at number one. Okay, in number one, you can see that um, the options here. It's it might be related to finding work. Okay, and maybe it's got to do with employment office, and yeah, it's about finding jobs, or and probably it's a part-time job, because it also mentions that um, students, right, how students can actually find jobs um, on campus. So probably the whole conversation is going to be about that. And the next question, number two, as you can see here, um, all the options here are places like the library, classroom, campus office, apartment. So we can guess that the question will be um, a where question, probably where does the conversation take place, for example, right? And number three, as we can see here, all the options indicate that it is most likely a question of maybe yeah, how many times, how often, right? So it's a questions is it could be a question of how many hours a student can actually do a part-time job, something like that. Number four, as you can see here, all of the options indicate that um, it could be a question of when, or maybe yeah, it's a question of when, every morning, afternoons and weekdays, when he's in class, or in weekdays. It- Probably the question will be about when does a student can actually work, can actually do his or her part-time job, right? So, and number five, um, as you can see here, all of the options, they are verbs to fill out, to to give her some additional information, to tell her some news, to phone her. So we can actually guess that the questions will be about uh, the question probably is a what question, and what is the speaker is going to do about something, right? And or what is the speaker is going to do next, something like that. Okay, so but you have to do this quickly, because again you only have 30 minutes in the listening comprehension, and you have to be able to read uh, all of the questions, I mean all of the options here quickly. Now let's hear the real conversation.
I'm looking for a part-time job on campus.
Then you've come to the right place. The Campus Employment Office is here just to help students like you find jobs on campus.
I'm glad to hear that, because I really need to start earning some money.
Let me ask you some questions to help determine what kind of job would be best. First of all, how many hours a week do you want to work?
I need to work at least 10 hours a week, and I don't think I can handle more than 20 hours with all the courses I'm taking.
And when are you free to work?
All of my classes are in the morning, so I can work every weekday from noon on. And of course, I wouldn't mind working on the weekends.
I'll try to match you up with one of our on-campus student jobs. Please fill out this form with some additional information about your skills and leave the form with me today. Then you can call me back tomorrow and maybe I'll have some news for you.
Thanks for your help.
Right, so that was the audio recording, and let's hear question number one.
Number 1. What does the man want to do?
What does the man want to do? So based on the conversation, now we know that the man wants to find work on campus. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, that number one, probably is going to be about what uh, the thing that one of the speakers want to do. Okay, because all of the options here, they are verb phrases. So we can assume that it's an action. So the uh, correct answer here is option A, find work on campus. Now let's listen to number two.
Number 2. Where does the conversation probably take place?
Right, so it's a where question. And number two, the correct answer is, of course, C, in the campus office, because he's a student and probably the woman is a staff, maybe, at the campus office.
Number 3. How many hours of work does the man want per week?
How many hours of work does the man want per week? So, yeah, it's also correct. We talk about how this how number three will be about a how many hours, right? So we can actually guess by looking at all of the options here. No more than 10 hours, at least 20 hours, or no, not more than 20. The man said that he can work more than 10 hours or at least 10 hours, but not more than 20 hours. So 20 hours at the maximum. So number three is C. Number four, let's listen to number four. What is the question?
Number 4. When can the man work?
It's it's a question of when, right? So the man actually said that he can work afternoons and weekends because all of his classes are in the morning, so he can only work in the afternoons and weekends. And number five, let's hear number five.
Number 5. What does the woman tell the man to do tomorrow?
So again, number five, it's a question of what. Okay, what is the woman tell the man to do tomorrow? So at the end of the conversation, we hear that the woman actually tells the man to call her, okay, about the job opening, but whether there's any job opening for him. So number five, the correct answer is option D. Right. So again, um, just like that, you can actually guess what the questions will be about prior to listening by reading the questions, by making guesses, educated guesses, and it should help you in understand better the conversation and to choose the correct answers. Right. So I guess that's it for today's video. And right, see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.